Urgent breaking news tonight, and I need every SSI, SSDI, Social Security retiree, and low income American to pay very close attention. Something major is unfolding in Washington, and almost no one is acknowledging it yet. Before we go any further, make sure you subscribe and tap like so this information reaches others who need it just as much as you do. For the first time in years, a $1,400 relief check is unexpectedly being reconsidered, and the earliest internal talks are placing disability recipients and fixed-income seniors at the very top of the priority list. Yes, you heard that correctly. There is now renewed discussion about bringing back the same $1,400 payment millions received in the past. And the most startling part is this: the idea didn't come from gossip, a forum rumor, or an anonymous leak. It came straight from lawmakers now facing pressure from soaring costs, election year tension, and a wave of seniors saying they simply cannot keep up anymore. Now here's where things start to shift. Multiple committee members have quietly raised the idea of targeted help, and the first groups listed weren't high earners or large households. The very first names on those internal sheets were SSI, SSDI, VA disability, and low-income Social Security retirees. That alone shows how serious these discussions have become. But before we go deeper, think back to the last time this happened. When the previous round of relief went out, millions used it to pay overdue rent, fill prescriptions, repair cars, and simply survive the rising costs of daily life. It wasn't just a check. It was a moment of breathing room in a year full of hardship. And now, something similar may be returning. Only this time, the focus is tighter, the urgency greater, and the potential timeline shorter than anyone expected. So, the major question right now is simple. Why is this coming up again? What changed? Who reopened this conversation? And why were SSI and SSDI pushed to the front almost immediately? That's exactly what we're going to break down. Because something behind those closed doors forced lawmakers to revisit a topic many believed was long dead. Once you see what triggered it, the whole picture becomes much clearer. Stay with me, because you're about to hear the real context, the names being whispered, and the timeline that could determine whether this $1,400 relief check moves forward or gets shut down again. What happens next may surprise you. Let's talk about what actually ignited this sudden return of the $1,400 idea. Because it didn't appear out of nowhere. It didn't come from online speculation or hopeful guesses. It stemmed from pressure that has been building in Washington for months until lawmakers couldn't brush it aside any longer. The first spark came from the latest economic assessment presented to the House Ways and Means Committee. That analysis revealed something troubling. Millions of seniors, disabled individuals, and extremely low-income households are still facing financial strain comparable to the early pandemic period. Prices didn't drop. They merely stopped rising as fast. But for someone on a fixed monthly check, inflation staying high is no different from losing money every month. One member of the committee, according to internal notes from the briefing, pressed for what they called targeted support. And here's where it gets interesting. The first example given under that phrase was SSI and SSDI, not because the benefits are tiny, but because they simply don't grow fast enough to match today's economy. Then another voice stepped in. A senator on the Budget Committee reportedly noted that Medicare premiums, rent, and prescription prices have all climbed faster than seniors' annual COLA increases. In plain terms, he said the math no longer works, and when the math fails, people fall behind. That comment led to a list of potential relief options. One was temporary credits, another was direct payments. And then someone referenced the number everyone recognizes instantly, $1,400. It wasn't picked randomly. It came up because the infrastructure for that exact amount already exists. The IRS has the system. SSA has the records. The process is familiar, which makes it far easier to restart than building an entirely new program. Now, this part is important. There are only two groups in the country whose information is fully verified, updated, and ready for immediate distribution: Social Security recipients and VA disability recipients. That's why they were at the top. That's why the concept picked up momentum. Because if Congress greenlights anything, These groups could receive help first and fastest. But the conversation didn't end with one meeting. 3 additional discussions took place across different committees. The Joint Economic Committee, the Senate Budget Committee, and a senior policy task group all highlighted the same issue. The cost of living is not easing for those who depend most on federal programs. And here's the twist. A staff report showing how far seniors and disabled Americans have fallen behind since 2019 included one bold line. Relief targeted at fixed-income households could have immediate and stabilizing impact. Insiders believe that single sentence reopened the entire stimulus debate. So now attention turns to what happens next. Budget negotiations are already underway. There are 2 potential pathways for payments to re-enter the discussion. One through reconciliation, another through an emergency assistance mechanism that avoids long delays. And here's something unexpected. This time, relief doesn't need to cover everyone. A narrower, targeted group is easier to approve, meaning SSI, SSDI, low-income seniors, and VA disability recipients could form the core of a new package. But before you assume anything, you need to understand how this could impact you, what eligibility might look like, and how payments could be ordered. Because this is where everything becomes real. If a $1,400 payment moves forward, the first question everyone asks is the one you're probably thinking now. Who gets paid first? Based on every note, every committee conversation, and every scenario discussed, the answer is the same. SSI, SSDI, VA disability, and low-income retirees sit at the top. There's a clear reason for that. Their income data is already verified. Their benefit systems operate monthly without interruption. Their bank accounts and records are already stored in SSA's systems, which means if lawmakers give the green light, these groups can receive payments within days, not weeks. Now let's talk about eligibility. Unlike previous rounds where broad income caps included nearly everyone, this proposal is far more focused. It centers on households living on fixed incomes below specific annual thresholds. For SSI and many SSDI beneficiaries, that's automatic. For seniors living on modest Social Security checks, many fall below that line as well. As for payment order, first wave, direct deposit recipients. Second wave, direct express users. Final wave, paper checks or accounts with pending updates. Now imagine what a $1,400 boost means for someone surviving on less than $1,200 a month. It could cover rent, groceries, utilities, prescriptions, or overdue bills that have been stacking up. For some, it could be their only chance to catch up before prices rise again. Think about a senior stretching pills because medication costs too much. A disabled parent deciding between food and electricity. Someone alone, staring at overdue notices, wondering how long they can keep going. For them, one targeted payment isn't just money, it's a lifeline. A pause, a moment to breathe. And this is why the $1,400 figure keeps resurfacing. It's not random, it's not symbolic. Analysts say it provides the fastest stabilizing effect for fixed-income households. It's large enough to matter, small enough to justify, and simple enough to deploy instantly. Here's something else. If approved, this payment could arrive much sooner than expected, not next year, not months from now, but potentially within the same legislative window as other benefit discussions already happening. When budget talks and senior relief proposals are already in motion, adding a targeted payment becomes far easier. But we're not done. Before anyone assumes this is guaranteed, you need to know the obstacles, the political battles, the last-minute shifts that could either push this forward or kill it entirely. Because nothing in Washington happens without resistance. The first obstacle, division. Some lawmakers fully support targeted help because the data is undeniable. Others argue the budget is stretched and new payments must fit into negotiations. Which side wins will decide everything. The second obstacle, timing. Committees are reviewing cost of living issues, Medicare pricing, and Social Security funding all at once. When too many issues collide, delays become likely. The third obstacle, misinformation. Whenever stimulus discussions surface, false claims spread instantly. That's when scammers strike. So, here is your warning. No one will call to sign you up. No one will email asking for bank info. No one will text asking for your SSN. If you see it, ignore it, and report it. If a payment becomes real, it will arrive automatically the same way you receive benefits now. So here's what to watch next. If committees reviewing senior poverty mention targeted relief again, even briefly, that's a major signal. If the phrase fixed income households appears in draft budget summaries, that's another. And if press briefings begin hinting at support for seniors or disabled Americans, that means momentum is real. But here's the truth. This idea is not dead, not even close. This is the most serious conversation about targeted assistance in years, and the fact that SSI and SSDI are leading the list should give you something many people haven't felt in a long time. Hope. Hope that Washington finally sees the reality you're living. Hope that someone understands your rent didn't decrease, your food didn't get cheaper, your medication didn't magically drop in price. Hope that relief isn't just possible, it's necessary. So here's my message to you. Don't count on it yet, but don't dismiss it either. Stay alert, stay informed, and stay ready because the next few weeks may bring updates no one expected. And remember, you're not alone. Millions of seniors, disabled Americans, veterans, caregivers, and low-income families are facing the same fight. Your voice matters. Your story matters. Your survival matters. If you want clear information without confusion or scams, stay right here. I'll bring you updates the moment anything changes. Stay connected, stay informed, and take care of yourself. Brighter days are still possible, and more updates are on the way.